Welcome to the Law School Insider, where we have conversations with students, lawyers, and employers.
Succeeding in law school is something that you must prepare for, not only before you begin, but throughout your law school journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I will draw from my over 20 years of experience in the college admission field, as well as bring forth the experiences of others as we delve deeper into the issues. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law School Insider. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I'm so excited to be able to have you back again this week. This week, we have a great guest. Jamie Lieberman, who is a partner and co-owner of Hashtag Legal, is joining us this week. And Hashtag Legal is a great firm that is working with individuals that are either in small business, they're social media professionals, creatives, people that are working online in some way. And they work very closely to help them maneuver through all of the legal ups, downs, and all of the different areas that they may in their workings. So I'm really excited to be able to have her on the show today and to be able to share her journey and some of her perspectives on success and more with all of you. So Jamie, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
Jamie, I am really excited to be able to have people learn from you today. And to do that, one of the first things that we do is turn the clock back in time. And I want to get into your head a little bit and get a better understanding of what it was about the law that truly inspired you to decide to jump into this profession and to move forward with this profession.
Well, when I came out of college in the late 90s, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had a degree in economics. And so I started working at that time, .coms were all the rage. And so I started working for a number of .coms. And I eventually started working for a publishing company that had a lot of really great growth over the course of a few years. I was a part of the company during the growth. And then unfortunately in 2001, when the economy was not doing well, the company started to unfortunately fall apart a bit. And so I was a part of the company while they were not only growing, but unfortunately while they were closing as well. And during the time when we were closing, the company had a lot of contracts that they were defaulting on. And somehow it fell in my lap as the person who was negotiating those contracts with the vendors and trying to help out the company with layoffs, which was another kind of area of law I didn't know much about. And so I was working with our outside counsel during that time, and I was looking at going, he suggested that I look into law school. So it had never occurred to me to go to law school or to be a lawyer, but I was doing all of this work that was similar to what a young lawyer would actually be doing without even knowing I was doing it. So I looked into it. I thought it might be something interesting, and I took the LSATs. And from there, I applied to law school and turned out to be one of the best pieces of advice anyone ever gave me.
You know, it's always important to be able to have that mentor in your career or mentors in your career, and to be able to have someone that will push you in the direction, whether it be right at the beginning and starting to think about law school, or even while you're in your law school journey and trying to figure out the niche area that you want to focus on for yourself. Now, as you were going through law school, I'm sure there were many opportunities for you to be able to do many different things, like many law students have. Now, saying that, how did you differentiate yourself from other students? And thinking back on it now, would there be anything else, or was there anything that now that you look back on it that you wish you would have done differently that would have allowed for you to find success sooner in your career?
I think some of the things that differentiated me in law school was I was on a journal, I was on the law review, and I pushed myself and became the managing editor, and I think that was really beneficial to me in law school. I also participated in a number of the appellate advocacy and oral advocacy competitions. I think that was incredibly helpful, especially got me out of my fear of speaking out loud. I worked for a professor as a research assistant, and that was great for two reasons. I got to work on some scholarly work with him, but he also, like you talked about mentors, became a really great mentor to me. And that was an invaluable relationship, one that I actually keep up now after having graduated from law school over 10 years ago. And that relationship, I think, was incredibly helpful to me as well. If there was anything I could do different, I took law school incredibly seriously. I worked very, very, very hard, almost to the point where all I did was work. And I think I maybe would have tried to enjoy some time with the people that were around me a little bit more. I was so focused on making sure I got the great grades, and I did form some really wonderful relationships there, but I think I may have gone out a little bit more if I could have. And while it was great for me from a grade perspective, it was difficult to find balance when all you're doing is focusing on solely on studying. I think you need a little bit of time to blow off some steam, being that the pressures of law school can be so intense.
Balance is so important because, for many law students, it is very difficult to find the balance for themselves. And it sounds like you struggled with that through law school. And as you even get into your career, there's even more pressure to be able to get things done and to get more done, and to be able to have that balance for yourself is truly important. Now, as you moved into your professional career, I'm sure that you had to figure out that balance for yourself. And are there certain things that you have done now, either in law school or since law school, that have allowed for you to find a better balance in your own life that others could emulate for themselves as they're moving on into their own path?
I believe strongly, and this took me a very long time to learn and understand, but I believe strongly in the power of saying no. All too often, we want to multitask and do so many things, trying to please everybody and make sure that you can do as many things as you possibly can. And I find that if you really want to achieve as much as you can achieve balance, which I think is very challenging to do, I think you need to learn when it is appropriate to say no. And that goes through all parts of your life, whether it's business or personal. It's just really important that each opportunity that comes to you, you evaluate and make sure that you're taking it or turning it down for the right reasons. And that's definitely something that I've worked on and struggled with through my whole career, but it's made a huge difference for me in running my own business. And also it helped me when I worked, for other law firms, and I worked in the government as well. Learning how and when to say no is, I think, one of the best ways to achieve as much balance as you possibly can.
I have to ask, because it says you said that you've struggled with this throughout your entire career, and you may even struggle with it now. But what are some of the steps that you have taken to be able to become better at that and become better at saying no to things and not always being a yes person?
I think each time an opportunity is presented to me, I try to think of the reasons why I would be accepting that opportunity. Because frequently when something is presented to you, like the ability to speak at a conference or the ability, like a client who comes to you, you have to think about why you're doing what it is that you're going to be doing, why you would be taking it on, and what benefit it would give to you. And by benefit, I don't necessarily mean monetary benefit. It could be a benefit to you personally. It could be something that you've always wanted to do, and it would be kind of a check off that list of goals that you have. But for me, each time I accept something new, that's going to take away from something else. And so I need to kind of do that cost benefit analysis to make sure that whatever it is I'm accepting, some new project, client, speaking engagement, what it is that I'm going to have to give up in order to do that, and to make sure that it's worth it.
Very good advice, and I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, as you finished law school, you said you worked in a number of different areas, and through those different experiences, you came to find that you wanted to open this practice, this #legal, among other things that you're doing right now. How did you get to this point? What was it after law school that pushed you to being an entrepreneur and to work with now other entrepreneurs and other small business individuals in this type of genre or niche area?
When I came out of law school, I worked for large law firms. I worked for a 1,000-person law firm in New York City for years, and then I went and I worked for the government. And in both of those situations, I enjoyed my work. I liked what I was doing, but what I found that I was missing was a level of autonomy that I just couldn't get in either of those jobs. And frankly, no matter how long I would have stayed at either one of them, I just wouldn't have had that. And so I realized that I did love the law and I loved what I was doing, but I also realized that I wanted control over what it it is that I was doing. And so for me, I actually left the practice of law for a short amount of time to try and figure out what it is that I wanted to do. And I went and I taught at a law school. And while I was teaching at that law school, I realized I really, really did miss the practice of law. But that's sort of when I figured out that what was missing was that level of autonomy. And so I had started on the side, been a part of a blogging community that was completely outside of the law. And so I started talking to a number of bloggers, and now they're called influencers. I realized that a lot of these influencers have these really robust businesses, but there was no lawyer out there that actually had any expertise in the issues that face those influencers. And so I started kind of looking around and realizing that this was perfect for me. It was kind of the perfect fit. And then I met my business partner who basically had the exact same idea. She was still practicing, but she was practicing on a limited basis. And we both realized that this was kind of the perfect way to marry our interest in having our own practice and having the autonomy that we had missed, but our ability to still practice, which I really did want to do. And it was such a cutting edge and interesting area of the law that it just didn't feel like work. It's just really exciting because I'm working with people who haven't had a lawyer before who really speaks their language or understands what it is that they're doing. And so there's just a lot of room for growth there. And I think we got really lucky.
It's so important to be able to find someone that you have common goals with, common thought patterns with. And it sounds like you and your partner have found that. Now, when you are working with your clients from a legal end, what are some of the main things that they are requesting of you? What are some of the services now that you're finding that you are having to draw from, or some of the kind of the knowledge base that you're having to draw from those law school days, or from your earlier experiences in the law that are helping you to be that advocate as well as that person that your clients need now within your practice?
So I represent mostly, like you had said, small businesses, online entrepreneurs, and professionals that work in influencer marketing. So influencers, agencies, and brands. Most of those people are coming to me because they need help with contracts, or they need assistance with their site terms or privacy policies. Sometimes they need terms and conditions. I also do some intellectual property, so I do trademarks and copyright. The thing that I drew most from law school for sure was an ability to multitask because I have many, many clients who need many things at different times. And so I learned that ability to multitask because that's pretty much all you do in law school. From my practice, I learned how to be more efficient. So when you work on your own and the clients are coming to you and they have certain timelines, you need to work fast and efficiently, especially because I work for a lot of small businesses who have budgetary constraints. So it's important that I'm able to give them a good and accurate estimate of how long something's going to take me. And frankly, if I go over that estimate, sometimes I will have to just write that time off because they are very budget conscious. So those are the two things I think that I take most from both law school and from my early days of practice.
For somebody that may be thinking to themselves that they have an idea, they've got an idea for their own entrepreneurial venture down the road in using their JD degree, what are some of the things that you have learned in starting your own business that would help someone else for moving into that without having maybe some of the stumbling blocks that you may have had?
Well, I think the very first thing that you have to be prepared for if you're going to go out on your own and have your own venture is to be prepared for failure, because you will fail time and time again. And you have to be able to kind of pick yourself up, assess why you failed, and you really need to be able to change and pivot so that you can learn from those mistakes and grow from those mistakes. You also have to have a very thick skin. That's an important thing. And another thing I took from my early days of practice at that law firm was you have to know that this is business and it's not personal, and that you always have to maintain an air of professionalism, and that the people that you're working with are your clients, and it's important to show them respect and make sure that you maintain the arm's length relationship that you should with a client. I think you also have to realize that businesses change. And so while you may start off with one idea, I think you need to be flexible and able to change that idea or morph that idea into something new once you really get into the market and see what the market actually needs.
I really appreciate those thoughts. Now, in closing today, are there any other thoughts, any other pieces of advice if you were to talk to a student today that was, let's say, just entering law school or were in their first year or two of law school? What's one piece of advice to help them to find success, such as you have found in your career?
I think the most important thing is to follow what's interesting to you. Worry less about where you're going to be in 5 or 10 years and kind of follow the thing that makes you most excited and you feel most passionately about, because that will then lead you into career success. It's really difficult, I found, to be in a job, particularly one in the law, which is so demanding, when you don't have a passion for what it is that you're doing. So when you're starting out, I think it's really important to explore lots of different options. If you go in thinking you may want to be a transactional lawyer, be open to litigation possibilities, because you just never know. And so I think keeping an open mind, exploring lots of different areas, and really trying to hone in on what makes you excited, I think that is what leads to the most success.
Very great advice. I truly appreciate that. Where can people best find you, your practice, if they want to learn more about what you are doing?
The best place to find us is either on our website, which is #-legal.com, or you can find us on Facebook, and we have a Facebook page. It's, I believe it's #LegalLLC, and those are the two best places. You can also always email me, Jamie, Jamie, at #-legal.com.
Well, I truly appreciate you being on the show today and for sharing your journey and your successes with us. And I look forward to hearing more about your success and about your journey in the future.
Thank you.
Well, that was another great guest this week on the Law School Insider. If you have an interest in being a guest on the show, drop me an email at lawschoolinsider@cooley.edu. And thank you all for listening today. And remember, you have the ability and right to take control of your law school's success. I hope you'll continue listening, creating a plan for success that will prepare you to achieve the dreams that you have set for yourself. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. You're on your way to being a law school insider. Please subscribe to stay connected and come back again next time as we speak to more students, lawyers, and employers.